The United States of America is absolutely infested with propaganda, which is one of the main things I talk about on this channel. And we're about to see it in full swing with this war with Israel and the Gaza Strip. Uh, um, I I'm going to tell you what is about to happen, and you're not going to hear this from just about anyone else because, as usual, we're very tribal. Everyone's in their little camps. I reject the tribes. I'm not trying to virtue signal to anybody. Fuck that. I don't need anybody to accept me or like me, or I don't need to fit in. In fact, I don't fit in, right? Which is why this channel will always be small, and I'm okay with it. I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to make money, right? So this is what is about to happen, and it's already starting to happen. So Israel is going to go into the Gaza Strip and bomb the hell out of that area. Thousands and thousands of innocent Palestinians will be killed. And this, the reason why this will be allowed is because the American media is going to sanitize the absolute disgusting and depraved acts of the Israelis. And I will provide proof to you that you can verify yourself. Listen to any of the news broadcasts now about the war and in the future. Pay close attention to the absence of any mention of civilian casualties on the Palestinian side. Um, no reference to numbers of Palestinians that might have been killed, innocent Palestinians in particular. So not going to want to say anything about the numbers, not going to want to talk about them being killed. Instead, so let's say they drop a bomb and 300 Palestinians get killed. Instead of reporting on that, you're just going to get a report that there was intense bombing of a particular target, right? Target, right? What's the target? Let's not get into details beyond structural, right? They will say a building was destroyed. So let's say a building that has 300 people and it gets destroyed. They just say the building got destroyed, right? They will talk about, at least infrastructure damage. They'll say, there's no electricity, there's issues with food, and this kind of stuff, and kind of vaguely reference what that even means. It's one thing to say there's no food and whatever. It's another thing to say there are children starving. Yeah, they're not going to say that. They're not going to say what that means. They'll just say it sort of in a very sanitized way that, there's a lack of food, there's a lack of electricity, this is devastating, blah, blah, blah. They will do everything possible to not humanize what is happening on the Gaza Strip in terms of to the innocent Palestinians. Um, if Hamas does or says anything, they will absolutely have an appetite to illustrate that and go into great details. Let's show you the tunnels. Let's talk to a guy that used to fund one of the founders of the group or the son of the founder or whatever. Let's talk about what Hamas has done in the past. Let's absolutely talk about October 7th. And let's repeat the Israeli propaganda of they have a right to defend themselves, which is not something that anyone is saying that they don't have a right to. Like, just the fact that they keep repeating that phrase when no one's saying they don't have a right to defend themselves just shows how, dishonest people are being, the level of gaslighting that's happening. Um, Also, what you will see is, and you're seeing it already, is people will trap you in time. October 7th. It's one of those sci-fi movies where we get stuck in a loop in time, and it's just every morning is October 7th, right? 2,000 Palestinians killed today, but we can't get to today because we're still stuck in October 7th. 5,000 Palestinians killed. No, 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 no. That's in the future. We're still on October 7th, right? You're a time toddler from the future trying to tell me about what's gonna happen in the future, right? But we're not there yet. We're here. We're on October 7th, and oh my goodness, the rapes, the old people that got killed. Holy crap, these savages, right? 10,000 Palestinians killed. No, 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 no. October 7th. 50,000 Palestinians killed. If we even hear these numbers, right? October 7th, October 7th. If there was a way to nuke the entire Gaza Strip in a way that doesn't affect Israel, um, let's do that. And then when people say, what the hell are you doing? Again, time loop, October 7th, right? Let me illustrate. Let me illustrate. Um, so, you are in a neighborhood with people that are mostly brown skinned, right? And a pink skinned person comes in and chops off the head of a brown skinned child. So, 5-year-old gets beheaded by this pink skinned person in a neighborhood where it's mostly brown skinned people, right? Then all of a sudden, we see retaliation. So there's some brown skinned guy goes and he kills 5 pink skinned people, right? Um, and then there is 20 pink skinned people that get killed. And the numbers keep increasing and increasing and increasing, right? Way more than this one kid that got beheaded. And no matter how many of them get killed, no one is allowed to talk about that this is disgusting because they keep saying, they beheaded a black baby! Right? Black people have a right to defend themselves! Even as the deaths just keep mounting and mounting on one side and not so much the other, still people just keep saying, what about that one baby that got beheaded? If you're really, really dishonest, then you will listen to that analogy and say, but it wasn't just one person, they did it to so many people. The point is, it is vastly disproportionate, the response. And also, there is no appetite to even considering, how much is too much, how much is too far, right? Some person that's part of another group beheaded my child, and I'm able to unlimited retaliation. So the Palestinians who lost their land, who got their land taken away, are they entitled to unlimited retaliation, which means what they're doing is authorized by the same people who are authorizing the Israelis to unlimited retaliation? We have a lot of savages in this country, and I've said it before, and this is just yet another example that proves that. But people are very dishonest, just like the gun debate. A lot of people talk pro-gun, Second Amendment, blah, 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 but they won't admit that a lot of this just has to do with it's childishness, right? Guns are cool. Look at me with my big guns, and I'm a badass, just like the guys in the movies. Nobody will say that. Nobody will admit that, right? Everyone will try to pretend and make it look like it's something that is of substance, tyranny and this and that. And then when they believe the actual tyranny comes, they didn't even fire a single shot, right? So it's nonsense. It's Halloween, for every day of the year. That's what it is. But no one wants to admit that, right? Same thing here. We have a lot of savages in this country. That's why we have so much road rage. The savages won't admit they're savages, so they pretend like, there's some kind of logic to, they have the right to defend themselves. That's the shield they hide behind to hide from the reality that they don't care about how many babies get slaughtered or how many innocent women get slaughtered. Like, this is counter to the way they would like to present themselves, right? As people who protect the kids or whatever, they talk about. Like, we're not savages. No, they are savages, right? And they're totally okay with an unlimited amount of casualties of women and children, right? It doesn't matter to them. But that reality is too hard to admit, so they gaslight you with this, what are we going to do, October 7th? Or, they're right to defend themselves. So, a lot of people are going to get slaughtered, and it's going to be allowed to happen because it's all going to be sanitized by the media. And again, you can watch the media. When I say media, I'm more talking, it's not just corporate media, though, because a lot of the independent media, they just follow in corporate media. Let's just say partisan media. A lot of the partisan media is going to report it in such a way. Definitely see corporate media doing it. Sanitizing, not talking about the civilian casualties, right? Then when it's all said and done, I think more information is going to come out about how many people actually died. The Israelis are going to hide behind saying that a lot of these slaughters, it's actually Hamas that did it. Hamas, are the ones that killed a lot of their own people just to make the Israelis look bad so they could get sympathy from other countries and get them involved in the war. That was their strategy all along. That's why they did the thing on October 7th. That's their tactic. So don't believe your lying eyes. We're not 100% sure exactly how many civilians died, but it looks like it might be a significant amount, unfortunately, because we care about civilians. But, I still wouldn't accept what Hamas is saying, because we have intelligence that indicates that they are the ones that killed most of their own people themselves, not us, because we were using surgical strikes and otherwise, they'll talk about, okay, so it looks like we might have bombed this hospital or the school, but here's the video of the Hamas command center, which was under the school. How can we take out the Hamas that's under a school without destroying the school? I mean, this is war. It's not pretty, but gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta kill some babies, right? That's just how it is, right? You're probably not going to see anyone in mainstream media speaking the truth about the reality of, if what the Israelis are saying is true, then the ground invasion would have been done a long time ago, and it would have been the first thing that they did, right? If the Israelis really are trying to be surgical, they really don't want to kill civilians, if they're really targeting just Hamas, then the military option, the way you do that, is you do a ground invasion. That's the way you do it. That's the only way you do it. How do you attack Hamas command center under a school without killing the kids in the school? You go on the ground, right? And you go directly to that that facility, and you know that's how you take them out, right? Close quarters combat. That's how you do it. Um, is that going to be easy? No. Are you going to get a lot of casualties on your side as well? A lot of Israeli soldiers are going to die. Absolutely. So, if you want to avoid that kind of, a lot of deaths on your side, what you do is you just bomb the school from the sky, and then you just say, well, we don't have a choice because they're under their precision strikes and this and that. That's the bullshit that you put out. Because the truth is not attractive, right? We don't want to say we were afraid. We were too afraid to do a ground invasion. We don't want to lose too many of our troops, so we decided to sacrifice hundreds and thousands of women and children who have nothing to do with this, who have no voice in this. We decided to sacrifice them to protect our own troops, right? We want to go to war, right? But we are not willing to accept the consequence of war, right? We want to be able to go and kill who we want to kill, but we don't want the deaths on our side, right? We want the Iron Dome effect, right? We can fire missiles and bomb your stuff, but you try to fire missiles at us, we just knock them out of the sky. That's what we like, right? That's what we've been living with for a while, so we want to maintain that. We want to just your people die, right? Mostly Hamas, supposedly, but if some civilians die too, well, you shouldn't have been born in a battle zone, right? That asshole sperm shouldn't have swam so hard, right? Jerk off. What you doing with that egg, man? What you doing with that egg? You got what you deserved, right? Bombed to hell for being born in the wrong part of the planet. Serve you right. Right. So that's how it's going to go down, right? We're going to hear some really large numbers. And then on the other side, you're going to have, pro-Palestinian folks that will jump on anything that makes Israel look like savages and look what they've done. There's not going to be a lot of critique or questioning or challenging. You say something that makes Israel look brutal, it's going to be like, okay, look what they did. They're savages, right? I heard Kyle Kalinske, for example, talking about, he's mocking the idea of people saying that the body count that's coming from Gaza is coming from Hamas, and we can't trust Hamas. And his argument is, we have no way to know otherwise what the numbers are. A valid point. However, the fact that we don't have another method of knowing the body count does not dismiss the reality that we cannot trust what Hamas is saying. You have a chronic liar, right? This guy lies about his own name. He makes George Santos look like a saint, right? And he's the only one that could know about a thing, right? And the thing is very, very critical. The details of this thing are very, very critical. It's important that they're accurate. Taking your information from a guy who has a chronic lying problem to where they lie for no reason. They lie so much they can't even tell the difference between lies and the truth. There's no logic to it. They have some kind of mental illness. Trusting information from that source and then justifying it by saying, well, he's the only source of information we have, is absurd. The fact that this person cannot be trusted is not negated by the fact that we don't have alternatives. The fact that Hamas can't be trusted is not negated by the fact that we have no alternatives to tell us what the real death numbers are, right? Hamas cannot be trusted, just like the Israelis cannot be trusted. Hamas absolutely cannot be trusted, right? So if they're giving us numbers of how many people are dying, we have to look at that with extreme skepticism. That is the logical thing to do, the non-emotional, logical thing to do that makes sense. When a liar says something to you, you doubt that thing. You don't accept it because, well, there's no other alternatives. And what they're saying is going along with my narrative. No. We cannot trust the death numbers that are coming from Hamas. However, we are entitled to our opinions, and we can certainly speculate that those numbers are probably true. And if we want to step completely away from their information, we can certainly speculate that the numbers of civilian deaths are probably very, very vast and far exceeding what happened on October 7th by now. Right? We can make that logical conclusion and assessment. But to simply just repeat Hamas numbers as if that's the fact, and then when people call out the fact that you're listening to Hamas, even in bad faith, right? Even bad faith actors, and a lot of them who are saying this are bad faith actors, right? People who are pro-Israel saying, oh, that's Hamas, right? You can call them out on their BS and them, being bad faith, and just looking for, they're just trying to hide from the reality, right? They are savages. They're okay with children being slaughtered. And they are hiding from that truth by jumping on anything that allows them to, not, hide from that reality, right? The reality, you're supporting the death of thousands of children. If I can hide from that by saying, hey, those numbers are not even true, right? That's what it's about. But just because that's what they're doing doesn't mean that what they're saying is complete nonsense. It is not complete nonsense. We cannot trust Hamas. But again, we don't need Hamas numbers. We can look at the amount of bombs that have been dropped. We can look at the past of how the Israelis have functioned. And we can use some common sense and come to the conclusion that it is logical to expect that way more Palestinian civilians have been killed and slaughtered than the Israelis. You see, I come to the conclusion, the same conclusion in terms of what's happening in the Gaza Strip, without saying ridiculous things like, oh, well, we don't have any other alternative but to listen to liars. Nuance. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I guess the final element is, the Israelis are going to block all communications. They're going to, cut off infrastructure. So the ability for the Palestinians to be heard is going to be wiped out. And that's going to allow the Israelis to do whatever they want to do. Just absolute genocide, just slaughter thousands and thousands of innocent civilians and children. I mean, make October 7th look like a picnic. And get away with it, because who is going to be the one to report on what happened in the Gaza Strip? If you kill everybody in the Gaza Strip, there won't be any witnesses to say what actually happened. So you can slaughter, you can do the biggest slaughter of innocent civilians, I don't know in how long, perhaps hundreds of years, and not really have any consequences because, again, sanitized by American media. The people in the Gaza Strip are unable to speak, unable to, get their videos out because they don't have an internet or electricity. And the savages in America are able to, hide from the truth of who they are, on how soulless they are, because, it's not reported in the media what really happened. And, Hamas, you can't trust Hamas numbers. And then Israeli comes up with narratives of how Hamas are actually the ones that bombed their own people. So the numbers you're hearing, any of the numbers you're hearing that are actually real, it's actually Hamas that did it, not us. And, look at all the video evidence. Like, think of the idea of two people having a conflict and only one side gets to speak. A murderer speaking for his dead victim. I only did it in self-defense. If you were there, if you saw what I saw, you would have probably did the same thing. So unfortunate that this guy is dead and he's not able to, give his side of the story. But if he was alive, I'm sure he would tell you that, hey man, he probably got what he deserved. Disgusting. I'll leave you with this one thought. Look at the past and what we've done in this country and across the globe. We being the human animals, so ignorant that we would accurately describe ourselves as a pejorative. Think about how foolish we are to use an accurate description of ourselves as a pejorative. Human animals. We are Homo sapiens, part of the animal kingdom. Yet still in 2023, we are uncomfortable with the reality that we are animals. That's what we are, scientifically. We are animals. We're not some kind of alien, whatever. We share DNA with other animals on this planet. Look at what we've done in the past. Look at what we've done in the Dark Ages. Those human animals are us. We're the same creatures that did those things. You think a little bit of education and all this kind of stuff has changed us biologically in terms of the creatures that we are, right? Those people that hung witches and slavery days and the Crusades and all the slaughter and bloodshed, you think they are some different type of creature? No, they were human animals as we are human animals. And even though I'm saying human animals almost as a slight pejorative, I'm not. I'm just being accurate and pointing out how lost we are as a species, right? All this development and all this science and all this technology, and we still are not even fully comfortable with embracing who and what we are. This is the Baby Channel. The Baby comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Be a kind animal as best you can. But embrace truth, not lies.